today's a really big day because we're really lucky to get to talk to people in our community, all kinds of people. But Tim Murton, I mean, the infamous Tim Murton, is really, to me, and I'm sure to you, one of the most exciting interviews we've done so far. So if you're familiar with Monster Month, you're familiar with Tim Murton. He is the reason it started 28 years ago. And we've got a great interview with him coming up.
It's true. Not only is he an acclaimed monster maker, he's an acclaimed artist. He was also one of the most sought after scenic designers in the movie industry, everything from the piano to Resident Evil. And so we have gotten a chance to talk with him on the Elora Fergus podcast. I'm Ryan Joyce.
I'm Barbie Evoy.
This interview was conducted right downtown Elora. So we want you to come with us, grab a coffee like we had with Tim, enjoy some of the background music and the chatter behind us as we have a great interview talking with Tim Murton about his transition from movies to monsters.
When you first work in film, it's amazing. It's the most incredible experience. But after a while, you get older and it gets harder and harder. And I started crashing and burning. But basically just getting exhausted and then crashing. And I went to see my doctor and she said, why don't you do something creative? And I sort of thought about it because she said, what you're doing is you're being creative for art directors and designers. And she says, you're not being creative for yourself. So that kind of must make you very unhappy. So, yeah, that's where I got together. 4 ghouls and I hung them on the corner of the house. And then a headmaster and friends and colleagues came over and they wanted to do a video. And I got really excited that I inspired these people to be creative. So they spent an evening moving these ghouls backwards and forwards and getting the lighting and all that sort of thing. And I thought, that's great. I didn't hear from them for a while. And then 6 months later, I got the video. And sure enough, all the monsters were going backwards, but the entire thing was set to a polka.
Oh my gosh. That's real? That's a real story?
So Tim, I am curious, where does your creativity come from?
There's basically just a simple pattern of scary faces and making people want to laugh. And that's the balance. So the whole thing about this is that it's light up your fears and have a giggle. It's all done with a sense of humor. There's no seriousness. Where does it come from? I've always had this thing about using my art as a power. It's a powerful thing. Can I tell a very quick story?
Yes.
When I was a kid, when I was about 8 years old, I painted the biggest, most horrific monster I had ever made. And it had horns and big bulgy eyes and all that. And I ran upstairs to the 3rd floor of the 3-story house and pasted it on the window. And then turned the light on and then ran downstairs to have a look. And it was really disappointing.
Not as scary as you'd hoped?
No, it was pathetic. Anyway, I think I've made up. At the age of 73, I think I've caught up and actually done my thing.
Wow.
Does that answer your question?
Well, that actually leads into the next question. So we had talked about how you have that line, looking at the dark side and engaging with some giggles or humor. How do you engage with that humor? What goes into your mind when you're creating a scary thing? How do you add the funny part or the lighthearted stuff?
Well, that's important. How do I explain this? It's almost a mental health issue because we're heading into the dark months of the year. Oh God, January, February, March, and they seem to last 3 months each month.
That is scary.
It is scary. So this is a way of preparing the spirit for, with a sense of humor to say, okay, we're going to have to go into this and have some fun. And it's all about having fun.
Yeah. And I know your career didn't start in the creative side. It was more in the architecture side. Would give us a little look at your background.
My background, I did a degree in the UK in construction management. And then I came over to Canada on the strength of that and worked for mining companies as an estimator. And then at the age of 29, I quit my job and my marriage and went to art college and started life
anew.
It was like joining an institution, how can I put it? It was like joining a mental institution where you felt at home.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Everybody, you have all these creative ideas, and all these young people with all these amazing ideas. And the plasticity of mind is kind of really refreshing to be around. So that's what I found.
So that speaks to your creative side. And for us, we've gone over a couple of your interviews and looked at some of the things you've said over time. And with connection between how important being creative is and connecting that to the Twilight Zoo, that is, well, it is Tim Murton. How did you get there? What's that connection?
Halloween is the time of year when everybody has the license to be creative. And this is the magic of it all, because people can give expression to their fears and desires and whatever, and let loose, and nobody thinks you're weird.
Well, people don't think you're weird.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, we're now like 20 some odd years into Monster Month. How many, I guess we don't really know, but between 20 and 25 years?
I've been reminded that it's actually 28.
28. So when you look around the town and you see people exploring the monsters and discovering this for the first time, what is your reaction to what it's grown to become?
It just makes you kind of feel all warm and glowy inside. No, it does. It's, when you see kids react to this and people get inspired, hopefully it's unique enough that people have never really seen anything like it before, but that's probably just my style, not anything else. But
we say that there is no Monster Month without Tim Murton. Twilight Zoo was the very beginnings, the foundation of what has become a month-long celebration, and what many people, including Ryan and the Canadian Magic and ourselves here at Township, or myself, as well as Sensational Elora, all these groups that are working so hard to see that dream come true. You once said that it was a cultural responsibility you felt. Can you expand on that?
I can. 4 years into it, I decided to have a break. And I didn't put the monsters up. And I started having people knocking on my door saying, "Where are the monsters? We've just driven all the way from Cambridge and London, whatever." That's the time that I sensed that I had developed some sort of responsibility to keep this rhythm going year after year. I like the idea that it's just sort of local and intimate. It's not big and it's not commercial. That's my biggest fear, is that it goes commercial.
Yeah. And here we are today with Monster Month literally around the corner. What would you say has surprised you the most about Monster Month's growth? Does anything stick out?
Well, I'm very fortunate to have stumbled into all of this, really. But it seems to be growing on its own momentum. I think once you get this rhythm year after year, it becomes a tradition, and then people expect it. And I mean, people take thousands of photographs, and these photographs go everywhere.
Yeah.
They disseminate all over the place. So it seems to be growing on its own. It's turning into a monster.
Which, very funny. So, speaking of the monsters, they're not only decorations, or they are only decorations at the end of the day. And these decorations get, as the question writer has written down, they get nibbled on by squirrels and they get visited by so many people. But they have to be maintained, and they have to be taken care of, and they have to be kept up. What's that journey like, and how much a part of that are you?
Fortunately, I can just focus on making new pieces, and the volunteers in Station Elora, who are fabulous. They're absolutely fabulous. They're dedicated, and they're excited about what they're doing, and they're engaged in it. So, they seem to have taken that responsibility so they can make new stuff.
And does the fragility of the monsters themselves add to
Yes.
the glory that is them? Tell us
Big
about
time.
that.
Yeah, it's like the wire is skeletal and the paper is skin. So the combination of them as they start to deteriorate can be kind of dramatic.
So, if you could look into the future, 10, 20 years, what would you want it to look like?
Well, I'll be dead.
Let's hope not, but okay.
But
There's the dark side with a giggle.
Yes.
what will it look like? I hope that it becomes a festival. That there's enough support and people engaged and interested to make it a festival of creativity.
Beautifully said.
I think that would be amazing.
And if you could give some advice to an emerging artist, if you could see yourself 25, 30, 40 years ago, what advice would you give you?
Hang in there.
Nice.
Hang in there, because there are going to be times when it's just breaking your heart. And you just got to work through that.